What's going on, everybody? Appreciate y'all tuning in the channel here at 323 Fabrication. Well, we're gonna keep tearing this thing apart. Gonna cut this ridge out of it and then stamp all the rods and rod caps, keep them together. Go ahead and pull the motor down so we can put our dial bore gauge all the way through the bottom of the cylinder and see what it actually is and whether we're gonna get away with just honing it, ordering rings and bearings. So that's the plan. Got this old school ridge reamer. I think it's CarQuest brand. Look at that, made in USA. But do that and see what we got to work with. But that's the plan at the moment. Keep tearing it apart because that's about the only thing we can do. Here's the ridge reamer. You just stick it in there. These two lips catch the cylinder wall like that. And then you tighten the bolt up in the center and it expands. And you just take a little bit at a time, and once it gets smooth, you snug it up some more until you get rid of your ridge. So see, that ridge is cut now. That's pretty well smooth. You don't want to do any more than you got to do, but you want to do enough you can get the pistons out without breaking rings and put pistons in without breaking rings. So there we go. Makes a mess too. So now we got to do, I guess this one's the next one that it'll fit down in the bore because the piston's deep enough. Just a little bit at a time, but I'll get back with y'all when we get the other 7 done. All right, cut all the ridges on all the cylinders. Gonna roll this thing over and stamp all the rods and start tearing the bottom end apart. Then we can measure the cylinders a little bit better and see exactly what we got, but kind of thinking just dingle ball hone it and new rings and bearings and rock and roll. All right, y'all, I'm gonna let Dad show you what we do. Now this isn't like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? This is driver's side cylinder 1, number 1, that's the second rod. So he's gonna stamp top and bottom of that rod cap with number 1, so we go back in the same hole with the same piston and rod. Got a little stamp and just nut into it. Number 1, real simple. There you go.
Got a 7.
You want a bigger hammer?
Does that look like number 1 to you?
Looks like 1. Okay. Good enough. We'll do, that'll be number 2. Get you a bigger hammer, might make that a little easier. You want, that way when you swing it that first time, it connect, you know what I mean? You got the weight, maybe? I don't know. Numero dos. But we do this to the rods are split, obviously. So we do it to both halves on one side, and then we'll know that that's the outside and that's that rod for that cylinder. Like this is number 2. Yeah, looks like a number 2. there is to it. Now we're gonna do the other 6, not bore y'all with that. And then we're gonna tear the block down, motor, rods, mains, everything. And we'll get back with you, let y'all look at all that, show you the damage, and maybe mic the crankshaft, figure all that out so we can order some parts. This is your thrust bearing on a Pontiac, so that's new to us, yeah. Don't really know what's going on over here. But that's what it is. Needs to be polished for sure. At minimum, I don't really know what that is. Maybe, I don't know if that's a crack or what. Show y'all. But look at how loose this bearing is. All these bearings wanted to stay with the crankshaft when we took this apart. Thing is junk. Got chunks missing out of it. But I mean, look at that. It's just hanging out. Every one of these rods is bad. I mean, the bearings are terrible. That's what we've got. The mains aren't nearly as bad as the rods, but they still need to be replaced. So we're gonna mic the crank and kind of see what we're working with. I'll mic the rod journals in the block where I can get to them easier, and then I wonder if that's just from water setting on it. But and we'll pull it out and mic the mains and see if we can just polish it and do rings and bearings and put it back together, hone the block, clean the block up, hone the lifter bores, all that stuff. That's the hope and dream, you know, do a $500 rebuild on it, and new oil pump, and timing chain, camshaft, and set of gaskets, and just put it back in the car. Hopefully, that's what I want to do. Kind of depends on how all this stuff measures, I guess. Had a little blow by, but it was running, but I don't think it'll run long, judging by that timing chain play and by them rod bearings. One of them was wanting to spin on. It was on its way, so that's where we're at. All right, y'all. Measured the rod journals already. I'm gonna show you all that. No scientist, okay? Dad bought these really nice calipers for us, and they're kind of hard to read. I guess because I don't do this stuff every day, so I gotta go get the directions every time. But right there, we already know we're at 2 inches, and then down here, I don't even know if y'all can see this in the video, but we're at 250 would be the zero. Get it centered. So 250 would be the zero. And we're right at about another, I guess that would be 250. So that's 10 hundredths thousandths of the 50, but it's supposed to be 224.90. And we're not quite 250. We're just a hair narrower than that. There it is. Right about there. Got it now. So within 2 marks there is 5 and 10. If I'm reading it right. Should be right at standard on the mains. I mean on the rods. So we'll pull the crank and measure the mains. But that'd be good. That way we can polish it. It'll get a little more clearance and we'll just use standard bearings. Boy, this dude's gonna be a load. Old bearings is rough, ain't they?
Yeah, you can see metal embedded.
Oh yeah.
Bearing. So it's had metal run through it sometime or another. You can even pick it up on your finger.
Alright, I'm gonna go put this 2 to 3 caliper back and get the 3 to 4 because it should have 3-inch mains. Alright. I checked this for calibration. We got the little testers. It tested good. Alright, these are all pretty well standard, maybe 2 to 3 10,000ths worn, you know, which the center of them's higher, but they were groove bearings these sides, so it needs to be polished, but I think it's going to be just fine with standard bearings. It'll get a little more clearance, maybe it'll turn a little better, a little bit looser, but should be good to go on standard bearings for the crank, for the mains and the rods, so that's a good thing. Get some parts ordered. Now we got to check the cylinders. We'll do that. Well, guys, I got a dial bore gauge. It's zeroed on 4120, so that'll tell you the difference. You know, get on this side. That'll tell you when it zeroes where it goes to. You see, it won't quite zero. We're about 4 thousandths shy of zero. So we're hoping if we re-ring it with fresh rings, that one's the same way. Farther down in the bore, it's tighter, so that's good. Up here, it's 4 thousandths. Side to side, 3.5, 4. So all the cylinders are pretty much the same. That being said, you know, it might, I don't know. We're not machinists, so we're gonna call that good enough to put a set of rings on it and put it back together. So that's the plan. Go ahead, get this camera I don't know if y'all can see my head or just a body talking. But rings, bearings, standard, everything. We're not gonna punch it. We're gonna clean it up, hone it, dingle ball hone it, dingle ball hone the lifter bores, that cam that I already got, that 480 lift comp, because I already bought it. Had I known I was gonna do all this, I'd have probably got a little more camshaft, but I didn't. You know, I was trying to be conservative because I thought we were gonna slap it together, and that's not the case. Because as y'all can see throughout this video, it's kind of raggedy. So that's planned. Standard bearings, mains and rods, set of rings, re-gasket it. I guess we'll put a set of cam bearings in it while we're at it. New oil pump, timing chain, new water pump. So basically, I mean, I guess we can put some new joints in the drive shaft, and this thing should be pretty jammed up front to back, other than the body's falling off of it. So it's got, you know, floor air conditioning and stuff like that. But that's the plan. This is what happens when you're just gonna stick a camshaft in it. Just gonna put an intake gasket on it. Just gonna replace the valve cover gaskets. This is where you end up every time. All right, y'all, rolled the old block out here. Got my China freight air tool. We'll knock all the hard edges off of this thing, go around it and clean it up. That's the plan. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I haven't even gotten started yet and got some bad news. I don't know if y'all can see it good in the video or not. Should be able to see it clear as day. Old block's got a crack in it. Pretty good crack there. Got it cleaned up. Reckon I'm gonna weld it. It's the only poncho motor we got. Alright, I got the crack all cleaned out. Well, I mean, I gotta blow it out and clean it with some cleaner, but got a V-cut in it. We'll weld it up with some cast 99 rods, a stick rod, but I'll knock the flux off and TIG weld it. We'll go ahead and start to knock this casting flash off of these. Clean them up a little bit more. Alright, y'all, knocked the sharp edges down on the block, cleaned up all that casting flash, and got that crack almost ready to weld. So try to get that fixed since we got parts ordered to rebuild this motor. It wasn't mixing oil and water, but we don't want to go through the hassle of doing all this and have to do it again. So that's the plan. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think welding this whole thing up is gonna be an option, because I mean it's from like over there all the way over here.
Is it cracked on the other side though? On the other side of the block?
It's cracked in 3 places on this side.
Right.
So I don't know if we're gonna be able to do anything with this. Boys and girls, it is after 6 o'clock on Wednesday, September the 14th. That's the block that came out of the car. I'm gonna, I guess, put it in storage, save it for the main caps, or somebody really wanted to weld a block up, I guess. I don't know. Just got back from a fella named Keith's place. He parts out 2nd gen Firebirds and Trans Ams and stuff like that. He does have a 69 GTO correct block, but it's twice what I give for this one. So this is a 74, I believe, 400 standard bore crankshaft, oil pan, and a flex plate. And then he hooked me up with a new one of these. This is the old one. I don't know where it's at, but the new one I think's in the shop already. But that's it. It's all greased down. I'm gonna have to get a new one of these, but you can turn it. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it's hitting the tire. But anyway, this is our Hope. Same stamp, so it's a, like I said, 74 block. So there we go. Got us a new one. Picked old Dalton up a Performer Edelbrock intake. We're gonna do some swap-a-rooing, see what we can get out of it. There it is. 4813. No end stamped on it, but it's got the, let's see, where's it at? The CFD, so this should be a nodular iron crank. But I mean, turns easy enough, so hopefully. And pulled this main cap while we were at Keith's house, and the bearings look pretty good. And it seems to be standard, so hopefully we got us a good buildable block now. Find out more tomorrow. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna go. So appreciate y'all tuning into the channel. I appreciate all our new subscribers. Y'all have a good one, all right?